Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon. Today we'll learn about the Spring Boot file logging and its configuration. So we'll just see how we can configure the file logging in a Spring Boot application and its related configuration. Before we jump into the configuration, let me tell you the hierarchy level, how it is defined. This is very much important. So this is the hierarchy level, what we have and what we can configure. It's like trace, debug, info, war, error, fatal and off. So whenever you configure as a trace, so it will allow everything below that. So if you configure as a debug, it will take all everything below that. So you need to remember, like if you want a info, warn, so warn, error, fatal, everything, debug. So you can, if you configure debug, it will take everything. So whatever you take, configure here, it will be take from that to a down level. So it will not go to the up level. So it will not display anything above that. So just remember that whenever you're configuring your log levels. So now let's see how the Spring Boot application configuration is required. So this is my YML file. So this is the same example of registration service I'm taking, which I explained in the previous examples. So you can see that I can see the logging level set to debug. Level root is a debug. So it means that when I say debug, it will take a debug, info, warn, error and fatal, everything. All these logging formats or logging methods will be displayed over there, whatever you have. And this is the file pattern I'm using it, and this is the file name I'm given it here. I just given my path inside the resources table or a folder. So in general, I suggest you guys to uh, 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 not to provide the path inside the resources or relative use a relative path, but just outside your project, so that easy to it will be easy to configure all those information. And the max size is like how much size should be my file of a 10 MB. So like it's 10 MB or 1 GB. Generally best practice is to give in MB, that is a 10 MB. And if it exceeds more, it will create a more Z files, and it archives those files. And clear history on target is true. I just set it as true for this example. You always need to set it as a false, so that whenever we restart and it reboots, it will not clear old history of all the logs and everything. So it will keep on adding if you set it false. So let me run this example. So this is a basic information you need to have it here. Just for logging in a file, it's a basic file format, file location, and what is the basic parameters you have. So you can see I have set it as a debug. You can see all the information related as a debug is logged, and also you can see info is logged. If you see the hierarchy, info comes after the debug. So you can see all the information, it is logged here. So when you set it debug, so you see there's a lot of logs which is going to add it here. So when you set it as info, or when you set it as error, other things, you might not see all these logs here, but you can see all the information here. So now I set it, this is a location. So let's see the file is created, or yes, it's a file is created now. See, you can see all the information we have, whatever it is in this log. So let me just try to run one of my example here. So let me check user.all and just try it out. See, I just got a response. Let me see. In that, I'll just search for the log, like user controller. You can see there's a lot of things. See, user controller, this is my method. This is how I configured it here. Like user controller, get all user IMPL, get all user. So this is mapped to this. So you can see this is the logging I have set it here. If you look at the example, see here, user controller, get all users, which I added it here. So same log is displayed here. And for example, if you want to debug and info, right, so you can see this is the one, find user, this is the one. So I'll just try to run a fetch user ID. This is the fetch. So if I give something as 4, which is available, so which is given me output. Let's see, check the logs now. So if I have something like this in the log, see, yes, so I can see this is the logs we have. So fetch 4, fetching is the same, because I have printed 2 here. One is like info, another one is debug. So both are printed here because my logging level is debug. So it includes info as well as warn, error, fatal, everything. So that is the logging level you need to configure. So generally give it as a 10 MB or more, don't give it in a KB or something like that. It just creates all your gzip files and extra over there. And this is always keep it as a false, so that it will not remove our old files and everything. It just keeps on adding your all the information to the existing logs. So for example, just let me change this logging level here. For example, I'll just change it to error. So if I change it to error, for example, I'll just try to run it again. Let's see what will be the output here now. So if it is error now, it should not display any info, debug, other things, because I have mentioned it as an error which is below the hierarchy of our info and other things. See, if you see, there is no other logs of at least Spring framework as well, because everything is logged in info generally in the Spring Boot framework logs. Whatever comes as a built-in, you can see it's started, but it doesn't print anything because there is nothing error or all those information is not available because there is nothing to log as error. So there are some items in the info, debug and everything that will not be logged because my root level logging is error. So this is how it works. This is a basic simple example I'm giving you for that. So we can just configure XML and everything. That will take into another video, all that. So this is the basic how you configure, how you maintain your hierarchy, and how you use this information to configure in your application. You can configure your log level to your controllers as well. So everything, so that is defined here. So this is the basic information about how you create a file and log your data into the file. That's all I have now. Thanks all.